Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. The Bears of Brightwood defend the backwoods. Restless Shore is tranquil again, for now, and Elysian ties the current Neverfall record at 5. Hello Eternum, JChalant here. All that ego has caused corruption outbreaks throughout the land, and invasions are pending in 4 different regions. Brightwood will have to regroup quickly after fending off Mad Prophet last night and a post-war invasion party of 30-plus members of Covenant. Elysian will have 2 invasions to tend with in Restless Shore and Neverfall, respectively, coming off their victories last night as well. And finally, Church of Disrespect has awakened the corruption down south in Cutlass Keys. This reporter wonders, what do they do down there? Only one officially sponsored LARPCO event on the books tonight, and it's KOTT, bound and determined to prove themselves against the forces of Elysian, this time for the hamlet of Windsward. This is the 3rd attempt by KOTT to seize an Elysian-controlled region, and the 2nd attempt for Windsward, where Blood of Elysian is putting on the throwback unis for tonight's simulated fantasy combat resolution. Be sure to tune in after the action for live reactions and commentary from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Instability and unease late last night as the corruption began seeping out from Eternum, attempting to replace things. The primary source appears to be emanating from the fast travel shrines and attracted 2 faction supply carts. Unnerved and undaunted, this intrepid reporter made a fresh install, foregoing cycling power altogether. Highly curious upon returning, the Knights of the Turntable took time to travel to the trails towards Brightwood until we found corruption to investigate. Unable to determine the connection between the 2 events, the decision was made to cleanse the site. And so, with the guidance of Void Gauntlet Master, the mighty Mansa Musa, aka the Defenestrator, we were able to cleanse the corruption from the woods around Brightwood. Unsatiated in our quest for knowledge, KOTT news crews traveled north to Shattered Mountain in order to investigate rumors of a miniature murderous marauder. After cautiously approaching and exchanging greetings, KOTT News was able to identify the man as one Killer Midget, who had discovered a link between the corruption and the duration they remained slain. For sharing this breakthrough and in recognition for their tireless efforts to put down corruption, this week's Citizen of the Week goes to Killer Midget. KOTT News were not the only ones impacted by the influence of the corruption last night. As many companies were focused on invasions, only Verdurous declared war, again against Elysian, but this time in Reekwater. Despite being primarily a fishing port town, Reekwater leadership has continued to refine the infrastructure of their hamlet. As such, they will look to defend it from Verdurous and remain the primary fishmongers and top chefs of Eternum. Tune in for reactions and commentary after the war at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Good evening Eternum, I'm JChalant. Tonight's top story, 2 new houses rise from among the refugees to challenge for control of a region. In tonight's first simulated fantasy combat resolution, it's Dominion Centurions marching on the bluffs of Monarch against the forces of Elysian. Elysian leadership has been hard at work organizing and funding various war efforts of late, and some zealots may be feeling the pinch. But will their faith in the spark be enough to overcome fighting uphill against the entrenched forces of Elysian high above their base camp? After that, another loosely organized group of marauders calling themselves No Mercy X will attempt to raise the Keep of Cutlass Keys from the Church of Disrespect. Will this ambitious new group be able to overthrow the founding house of Church of Disrespect, who have defended their coastal fort from such forces as Imperial Guard and the Reckoning? Needless to say, you better bring your LARPCO. Meanwhile, Imperial Guard will continue their efforts to reclaim a region by attacking the restless shores of Elysian the 5th. Elysian forces have strategically allowed the corruption to manifest along the northern roads to prevent incursions, while maintaining supply lines with Reekwater to the south. Always a muddy fight here in the perpetually misty shores of restlessness, events here tend to bog down into skirmishes. And in the late fight tonight, it's the forces of Pacific Raven Company trying again to secure the region of Morningdale from the zealots of Regime. Sources inside Regime Company, speaking under assurances of anonymity, noted a strong mercenary presence in their last fight and look forward to another worthy challenge. Meanwhile, civic leaders of Morningdale continue to split their efforts between funding their Central Canal project and managing donations to the Death Wall Fund. Tune in tonight for reactions and commentary from participants and fans at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, but that may change again tonight as 3 more war fronts have been declared. In the first matchup, the forces of Kokiotos will try yet again to take down the forces of Elysian for control of the healing hot springs and medicinal herbs of Ebonscale. A slight uphill assault on B with mostly grass, however, the bamboo forests surrounding the fort have remained well cultivated and preserved since Elysian occupation began. This reporter suggests that all citizens of Eternum familiarize themselves with the relaxing amenities of Ebonscale, regardless of the outcome. Later, the forces of Regime have set their eyes on the hamlet of Everfall and have challenged Elysian for control of the region. This reporter can now reveal a confidential conversation held after performing an official LARPCO safety inspection of the assault camp. Win all day. You've made it clear that your intention is to lay siege to Everfall. The citizens would like to know your intentions for the hamlet.
The Death Wall, while it has sufficed us thus far, the plentiful coins of Everfall and its bountiful market has called to Regime. We plan on throwing all the coins through the Death Wall in an attempt to appeal to its kinder side, so it may open up and reveal the rest of the map to us.
Meanwhile, the forces of Imperial Guard will attempt to conquer the forces of Primordius Virtue for control of the region of Brightwood. Brightwood leadership has worked tirelessly from the beginning to care for all the escaping refugees from Everfall and to ensure the woods are safe from both corruption and invaders. The forces of Imperial Guard have been systematically challenging each region of Eternum in turn, attempting to once again secure a place in history as a great house. But this isn't a house. This is the woods. Be sure to tune in for reactions and commentary from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Good evening Eternum, JChalant here, and I look marvelous. This reporter received a mysterious package today with a note that read, "Murky this turkey." Bwahaha, ha ha, bwaka! They typed all that out. Inside the box, this amazing outfit, which will make it easier for this reporter to travel around Eternum, covering the news. I put the ceremonial turkey murkying gear aside and returned to my duties. And while reporting on a force of Mad Prophet and Imperial Guard in the Brightwood Cemetery, I heard reports of a giant turkey by the wildwood trees in Brightwood. I double-timed it to the scene, and while I caught a glimpse of the great beast as it was absorbed by the angry earth, I was unable to truly investigate it. KOTT News will continue investigating the correlation between the mysterious gift and the giant turkey, and bring you more on that as the story develops. Back to you, JC. Thanks, JC. Perhaps there is a connection between the appearance of that giant bird and the bear stampede through the final moments of Brightwood's war last night. Almost assuredly, JC, and it's a good thing Primordius was equipped with LARPCO gear and Dr. Bombastus's new and improved bear repellent, now with twice the bear urine concentrate. Concluding last night's outcomes, Elysian extended its never-fall streak and current Eternum record to 6 last night, saving Eternum's gold from the demise of the Death Wall, for now. Tonight on the undercard, it will be Imperial Guard throwing themselves at Blood of Elysian, showing us that they are not backing down from the challenge of a grind. This will be Imperial Guard's 6th attempt in 8 days, so they may be tired, but coming off their defeat in the woods last night, they are staying busy in their efforts to regain a foothold in a region. In the late matchup, Dominion will once again defend its share of the cinnamon trade in First Light, this time against the marauding forces of Not Reckoning. No one was counting on this. No one thought it could happen. Of all the things that people were considering, I don't think anyone was reckoning on tonight's matchup. But match up they will, so good luck to the company that is definitely not reckoning, and to the spice merchants of Dominion. Be sure to tune in for reactions and commentary from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Yesterday, this investigative reporter set up a tripartisan forward observation camp south of Brightwood to investigate the rumors of a giant bird. Fortune smiled upon us, and we witnessed the mighty hen appear in front of us, enabling a full investigation. That full story is available on the card above, but tonight's top story is the early matchup. Primordius Virtue leadership has had enough with encroaching factions using Weaver's Fin as a base camp for deployment, and have declared their very first war on the Loyalists to stop it. Accelerating this decision was the influx of refugees to Brightwood, fleeing the Fin for lack of focus on those needing food and medicine. The winters in Eternum are harsh, so Prince Jarvan has made clear his intentions to distribute heating oil to the citizenry if successful. Then, in the primetime matchup, the split forces of Elysian must contend with Sea and Panda on one front and Pacific Raven Company on another. Sea and Panda once again attempting to reclaim the bamboo forest preserves in Ebonscale from the forces of Elysian, who have not interfered with civic development of tourism to the Healing Hot Springs. This will mark the third time Sea and Panda has attempted to claim what they consider to be their forever home, but Elysian forces have grown accustomed to relaxing in the spas, so they have vowed to come out focused and fresh. Both of Elysian's simulated conflict resolutions tonight are sponsored by LARPCO. Only LARPCO has their patented space-age foam core technology that's built for safety and built to last. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it's cardboard. Finally tonight, it will be Pacific Raven Company switching up its strategy and making a play against Elysian in Monarch's Bluff. Perhaps these marauders thought the faction of intelligence would be more of a pushover than those of faith. Of course, Elysian welcomes all challengers who dare to question the precision of their war strategies and look forward to the outcome. Be sure to tune in for reactions and commentary from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Elysian fends off both forces late last night and invite the citizens to avail themselves of complimentary services in Ebonscale presently. Primordius Virtue, however, was unsuccessful in their bid to prevent marauders from using Weaver's Fin as a staging ground for assault. And such, the forces of Mad Prophet have desecrated the Brightwood Cemetery in their march to the fort to set up an assault camp and declare war. Primordius has always maintained the infrastructure and road systems of Brightwood and kept the deep woods clear of bear. They have even had to contend with recent turkey sightings, continuing still to prepare for the most brutal winter in Eternum's history, and now, for a second time, Mad Prophet returns? Don't they know it's bear stampeding season? What will they do differently this time is anyone's guess. Look for the play-by-play in-game if I'm home from work. Later, No Mercy X will send their finest culinary professionals to participate in the battle of their life in the hamlet of Reekwater. No Mercy X making their second attempt to seize a victory in Eternum, but for them to succeed here, they'll have to know the best fishing spots in order to find the rarest ingredients. Since acquiring Reekwater through simulated fantasy combat resolution from the forces of Crown, the complimentary faction fish markets and food supplies have been at a premium. But what mystery ingredient will guide the direction of this battle? And whose cuisine will reign supreme? Be sure to tune in for reactions and commentary from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.